It's come to that time of year once again where we're already talking about the next installment of the F1 franchise. I'm talking about F1 2017, game ideas, improvements from F1 2016 that we can implement or just throw ideas about to get everyone talking and get some ideas flowing to make next year's F1 game even better than the previous one. So I thought I'd get this video out by now because I kind of have an idea as to how Codemasters like to run their games. Ideally, I'd love to get all these ideas out before this year is over. Normally, I think Cody's will lock down all of their new game modes for the next game before like January or something like that. So, I'm just gonna talk about some new game ideas, some new improvements that could further help or improve the current experience that we've got right now. So I'm going to dedicate this video to the career mode aspect of the F1 games, and then in a future video I'll probably talk about online or maybe even some other aspects of the F1 games like handling or something like that. But yeah, this video is going to be dedicated to career mode, and let's just start off with the first point, and that is the implementation of a pre-season test. Now, after first season of career mode, I came to the first race in Melbourne once again, and I had all these resource points that I needed to spend. But the problem is, I was turning up to the first race with a car that was exactly the same in Season 2, first race, as what it was at the end of Season 1. Now, I couldn't upgrade the car in time for these upgrades to be applied to the car before the start of the first race. So I think maybe having a pre-season test will allow the players to spend all these resource points and have the car fully upgraded, new spec'd out and all that kind of thing before the first race, and it's an entirely different car to what you left in the previous season. So I feel like a little implementation like that would be really good. It's a new opportunity to explore different objectives, with that comes with testing. Having the testing apparatus that's on the car, like the rake thing that's in the airbox in the side of the car, or having, the massive antenna that's at the top of the car, and then just having all these different objectives, like maybe shifting up really early in the rev range to really protect the engine, and since it is a test session, maybe explore some new failures of some kind, just to show off, what Cody's are capable of doing with their cars this season. The Codemasters team, they're pretty hesitant to include failures for the player because they don't want to frustrate people in the middle of a race or a 100% race or something like that, put in all that effort and then just have it all fall apart in just in a failure like that. So maybe having failures in practice or failures in this preseason test would be really, really awesome. So yeah, that's the preseason test. I just feel like that aspect of the season just isn't covered in F1 games, and I think it would be a really good addition to have like a broadcast style system, like one big day of testing, introduce the new cars, the new drivers, have Crofty talk over and a TV cinematic style thing. And I don't know, I just have this really big hype over the preseason test, the first opportunity for cars to go out at the start of the year and, show off kind of what they're made of after the winter break. But that's the preseason test. Just let me know your thoughts on something like that, just a 1 or 2 day session to, potentially get some more upgrades, resource points, all that kind of thing, and upgrade your car during that time. I think would be really useful for career mode, and especially like in Season 1, just as you're starting the career mode, maybe in the pre-season test, you could earn a drive in Formula 1 based on how you drive in that pre-season test. So we've had that in previous F1 editions, like F1 Championship Edition, where you had to impress a particular team in a test and earn a drive into F1. That would be something really, really awesome. But that's the preseason test out of the way. I'm now going to move on to research and development, which has been a massive aspect to F1 2016. And I think the basics of that have been really good. I think we just need to, tweak that a little bit, because in my Mana career mode, I feel like the upgrade potential, the maximum potential of the car was reached too quickly. So I got to maximum potential about halfway through Season 2, and it's a 10-season career mode. The upgrades, they need to keep flowing into Season 3, 4, and 5 or something like that. There just needs to be maybe more things to upgrade on the car. New elements like maybe upgrading the brakes, different elements in the suspension, have a category for tyre wear, or even tyre knowledge, and possibly even a category for even reliability. So if you have a more reliable car, you're less likely to have failures in practice and qualifying or something like that. I think that'd be really, really awesome as well. And also to just change up the balance of how the upgrades are applied. I feel like as soon as you put an upgrade on the car, it should take at least one full race to go on the car. So like you could put on an upgrade just after the race finished in Monaco, and then you turn up in Spain like 10 seconds later and the upgrade is on the car. So it needs to at least take one full race weekend, or maybe even take 2 weekends or something for the upgrade parts to be developed, tested in the manufacturing factory, and then applied to the car, a few races later. That's a little bit more realistic. Maybe have that, especially the higher up the tier list you go, like upgrade 3, 4, or 5 for the engine, for example, because those are going to be, more, minute details, or just, it might provide a bigger gain. So maybe have those upgrades take longer to go on the car or something like that. Because if you're, constantly putting upgrades or focusing on the research and development, you can, really quickly outdevelop other teams, the AI, who only upgrade their car, every 4 or 5 rounds, and they might do it in bulks. But yeah, just something to think about there in terms of the balancing. Again, on the subject of research and development, maybe we could implement some new practice tests to do, like we have the track acclimatization, tire wear test, all that kind of thing. Maybe we could implement practice starts as a new R&D objective, just at the end of the pit lane, practice start, find the bite point, all that kind of thing. And if you really get a really nice start, you can get some resource points for that. Or, other things like a fuel consumption test, just, running lean revs, just try and, use up as less fuel as you possibly can and earn some resource points that way, just to add in some extra things to do over the course of a weekend in practice that, will attribute to the research and development scoring of points, so that you have different things to do every weekend, so it doesn't get too repetitive every single time. And speaking of those different regimes that you have to do, I think it would be cool if we could rebalance the allocation of certain points. So the tire wear test by far takes the longest amount of time to complete that task. So I think the tire wear test should get more resource points versus a track acclimatization test, or even the qualifying pace, which can only take 1 lap, and you still get the same amount of points as if you spent 15 minutes doing the tire wear test. I think that needs to be rebalanced a little bit to reflect the time and effort gone into that particular program. And also, while we're talking about those as well, controller users, I noticed, found it really, really hard to be smooth and nice on their tires. So controller users would constantly fail the tire wear test. So maybe that's something that needs to be looked at for F1 2017. So that's all the research and development out of the way. I'm going to move on to the next aspect that I'm going to talk about, and it's just going to be overall just diverted to gameplay. I'm not going to go too in depth in terms of gameplay itself, because I think, we all know that the gameplay aspect of the game has been pretty good. The AI, can have some improvements here or there, and I'm sure the team already know about most of those things. So I'm just going to talk more specific about some little things that some hardcore enthusiasts of F1 games have been, really wanting to see over the last few years. The first of which is an overtake button. We constantly hear about the overtake button when using, defense mechanisms or trying to overtake another car. Just being able to use that as another tool to overtake other cars at particular times. Another thing is bringing back engine or power unit management throughout the season. I think we can only use 5 or 4 power units or something like that. No, it's 5 power units over the course of the season. Just being able to manage between those over the course of the season would make for an interesting little dynamic, having to manage different little things like we did back on F1 2010. I think you could manage all your different power units, and I think that stayed until like 2012 or something like that. Another thing would be more control in the pit lane, as in maybe being able to steer where you want in the pit lane, or maybe even stop for your box and make sure you line up correctly. That'd be really awesome. And also being able to choose a custom celebration, possibly after you win a race or you get on the podium, that kind of thing, just to add a little bit more identity or uniqueness to the cutscene after you do well at the end of a race in particular. I think that'd be really cool. Maybe even a custom, the opposite of a celebration, but like a cutscene where you have an absolutely terrible race. You could choose to flip a table or something like that. But that, I'm getting pretty far out there with choosing different cutscenes. But yeah, just thought I'd throw that out there. And also going back to the pit lane thing, I think it would be really, really awesome if we could have a slider in terms of your pit stops. So if you slide the slider to be more aggressive on the pit stops to make them faster, there might be a higher chance of there's something going wrong in the pit stop. So if you want to risk it for the chocolate biscuit, you may have some stuff ups from time to time, or you could slide it further to the right to be have a more consistent pit crew when you do your pit stops, so that there's less mistakes, but the pit stop is going to take more time. I think that's an interesting little dynamic that could be added into the F1 games fairly simply, I think, but it's just working out the dynamics of how that might be done, which might cause some issues. But yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting. Moving on to the next facet, that is rivalry. I feel like there's just a little bit too much emphasis being placed on setting a fast lap over the course of the race. So for example, you could be having a really crap race, you could be running dead last, and then come into the pits, put on a set of super soft tires or something like that, and then bang in a really fast time, and then you could claim back at least 4 points back on the rivalry over your rival just because you set a fastest lap, because there's different points for every sector that you are faster in, plus the fastest lap. So yeah, there needs to be less emphasis on setting faster laps, and maybe even adding in a category for your championship position being higher than your rival, so that you can get a point over them if you're currently higher than them in the championship standings. Because over the course of my Manor career mode, I was leading the championship in the Manor. I won the championship over Daniel Ricciardo, but I barely won any rivalries, so I think that needs to be looked at just a little bit. Also, when I was talking about winning the championship, I think there needs to be something, more meaningful to winning the championship. I won it in Brazil. I did some donuts, and that was really cool. Crofty talked about me winning the championship in that race. But when we got to Abu Dhabi, there was absolutely no mention or no recognition for winning the championship. I feel like there should be like a trophy presentation on the podium. Even if you don't get on the podium, just getting the trophy there. A trophy presentation for the Constructors winner as well. And maybe even having a cutscene, in the pit lane with all your team members and crew, just, celebrating with them, just all that kind of thing. Just having more, I don't know, just having something that's more meaningful at the end of the season, as opposed to just having some donuts, just after the race finishes. I think there needs to be just something a little bit more and something different to what we've seen over the past few years, which could be really nice. But one other thing which I think won't probably get added to F1 2017 would be placing the number 1 on the car if you do end up winning the championship. But I think that's limited due to licensing from FOM. So unfortunately, maybe not too much could be done about that, which is a bit of a shame. Moving on, I think it would be really awesome if we could have some kind of drone mode or like a free roam camera to use in the replay cameras or in the pause menu, go down and activate the free roam camera or drone mode, and just get some really awesome replays or get some screenshots or some photos of cars in different positions to what we've seen them in the past, with the TV cameras or different cameras that we have to utilize at the moment. I feel like it's something that hasn't really been explored in the F1 games as of yet. I've taken a bit of inspiration from Forza Horizon 3 here with the drone mode, but I feel like the F1 games really are lacking like a free roam camera, something that we can shoot by ourselves at the end of the race or, in the pause menu, so that we can have our own unique camera angles and really show off the F1 games, what they're capable of, the beauty of, some race tracks, going to day-night transition in Abu Dhabi, especially like if you're on PC, like there's many like really awesome shots that you could get if you could customize where you could place a camera on a racetrack and just really showcase that for videos as well. Being a YouTuber, I feel like there's lots of potential in a free roam camera or even a drone mode. Alright, one last point to talk about in this video. I know I've been dragging it on a little bit, so it's almost over. One thing that we could add to the overall Grand Prix weekend experience would potentially be a driver's press conference, or just in general, maybe other interviews. Maybe not have the driver's press conference every weekend, because, you know, not the same drivers aren't in every weekend, obviously, but just maybe have your own career mode driver in when he's relevant, or in the spotlight or something like that, and have, you know, everyone ask him questions, and, you know, maybe the responses from the driver affects, you know, relationships within your own team, with other teams, with other drivers. It might affect the aggressiveness, or maybe even might pressure other drivers into making mistakes over the course of a weekend or something like that. Or if you badmouth your team, your driver position within your team can go down, like we've seen when we have bad performances on the track. So possibly off-track behavior could affect your driver position within the team as well. I think that would be really awesome as well. So yeah, just one last thing to throw into the mix, you know, throughout this whole video, just throwing lots of ideas about, not that any of this is going to be in the game or anything like that, but I feel like it's something, you know, worth talking about, worth, you know, stirring the pot and seeing, you know, maybe if one or two of these things could be implemented. That'd be pretty damn awesome. So that's been this video for today, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed. Leave a like if you did. If you have any suggestions, or if you have anything to build upon or add on to what I've already talked about in this video, leave it down in the comments. I might do a part 2 to this and talk about some of your points that you've brought forward, or if you have any other things that you want me to bring up in another video specific to online. I've got a lot to talk about online, so I'm going to be saving that for a separate video. I don't know, in the future, whenever I can get on to making that. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys for a brand new video very soon.